So I just had to look up the lyrics to that Carrie Underwood song, Before He Cheats, because it was playing in the laundromat. And even when it came out, I was like, do you have empirical evidence? Like, are you watching this happen through the window? That song is so crazy. So crazy. So I had my perfect Gregg Araki film New Year's last night. People laughed, people cried, a lot of catharsis, a lot of very vivid colors, kind of like a high school party. There was another party I was supposed to go to and didn't, for a variety of reasons. None of them having to do with the people who were there, though. It was really more of a logistics thing. And then at the end of the night, my very good friend took me on a walk to overlook the city. And we just stood there and tried to spot the fireworks. But I think in LA, people are hesitant to set off fireworks where the cops can see them. So you hear a lot of fireworks and you'll see like little flashes here and there. You can't really see like the big bursts. So there really weren't like a lot of fireworks that we saw here. That's okay. I don't think I'll ever see any fireworks that top when I lived in Fairfax County, Virginia, and my dad was working downtown in DC, and so we were like in the office and we could see like the fireworks were like right outside the window. And I think that was actually 4th of July. So yeah, I've had my fireworks. The fireworks were within us all along. Some great DJs, some amazing musical performances, and just an overall good vibe. And not needing to have perfect interactions with every single person that you meet. Overall, trying to be the best version of yourself that is available at any given time. So, happy 2024. Hey guys, happy 2024. This is going to be kind of a recap, kind of an update, kind of some things that I've noticed as trends in the most recent months. I do understand that it's cuffing season. It's cold outside. We would all like to have some human-sized body pillow. It gives off its own heat. I'm gonna get called a man-hater in the comments for this. Fellas, it's not serving you either. Like, everyone needs to calm down. You know, we've come out of this global situation that isolated us all so much from each other. And during that time, people went into these insular online communities and started spreading around these ideas that really do not function in practice. And you can tell when you talk to people in person who is buying into that. And it's a little discouraging to think that you can run into somebody in public and start having a conversation with them, and you can kind of see their eyes glaze over, but they're still like, I want to get your number, blah, blah, blah. Be reduced down to the sum of your parts physically. And this is only going to be the first part of the video, but I wanted to get it out of the way because it's kind of a bummer. Like, if you look at me and the first thing that you see of value is something that's attached to my assigned sex at birth, I don't think you actually want that. I don't think you're actually interested in that. I think if you got that, you would regret it. And that's not me being a man-hater. That brings me into my next topic, which is like the friend zone. I would actually speculate that there are more guys who actively keep me around as a friend in the friend zone than I keep guys around who are in the friend zone. Like, guys either we're friends because we intrinsically see value in each other beyond a physical attraction. And you know what? Sometimes I hook up with those people. Or you're somebody who has reduced me down to the sum of my physical components, and I don't keep you around in my life. That's just it. Or there's even a third category of guys that we're literally just friends. Like, I know it's hard to believe that a guy wouldn't be attracted to all of this, but it exists. It does exist. I promise you. I promise you. But I have noticed over the past year especially, there have been times where it's more the case, and there are times where it's less the case. But I do feel like it interferes with my ability to network with people. But then I also think of it from the perspective that maybe if I was a guy and I looked the way that I do, maybe guys wouldn't even approach me and talk to me. Or maybe they wouldn't, they wouldn't respond differently just based on their own, I'm not assuming that things would be easier if I was a dude. I am a dude, by the way. I wanted to insert this aside into the longer video, so you might notice I've trimmed my bangs and I'm wearing a different shirt. So it's what I like to call the meet me, get my phone number, and then be normal after challenge. Now, I say me, but this applies to anyone because honestly, I don't always pass this challenge. We're all trying our best, I would like to think, every day. We all have these assumptions about what people think about us, what they see in us, or what they see us lacking, usually, more commonly. But someone who is not passing the meet me, get my phone number, and be normal after challenge is probably also not going to pass the next challenge that I also don't always pass, which is the have sex with me and be normal after challenge. Sometimes they get through that first round, or I'll get through that first round, and then the next round, it's like, I don't even know you. No, I mean, like, usually you do know. Usually you do know. And like I said, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm also not always excelling at these challenges. I try to not be harmful in the way that I communicate with people. So the way I communicate with people might be strange, often strange. But I try now to not be overly attached too early on, but it's hard to express that sometimes too. I tell lots of people I love them. So I might tell you I love you because we're friends. And then we hook up. Am I supposed to not say I love you anymore? All of these things are so secretly coded. Maybe they're secretly coded to me alone. But I wanted to interject that here because having this specific set of traditional rules is of course designed to eliminate all of this other stuff from happening. But unfortunately, it does not. You are better off communicating one-on-one with a person that you intend to hook up with as though they are also very much the same as you, personality-wise, interest-wise, and that you should both be mutually perceiving that the other person does not actively mean you harm. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health updates. So, for the past year and a half or 2 years, I had been having delusions. And there were periods where it was like really extreme and really bad. There's also, you know, the gangstalking thing is going on, and that has a lot of different aspects to it that have unfolded over like the past 30 years. So not all of the delusions were like wrapped up in, you know, like it wasn't all delusion. It's not all one thing or another. And I've gotten to the point now, here at the end of 2023, where I have been able to separate out where the delusions are, what information am I getting that is useful, what information am I getting that's just being sent to me, you know, to obfuscate, what's red herrings, what's somebody trying to control my behavior around other people. Because a lot of what you go through with gang stalking is the messaging is strongly like, don't do this, don't do that. if you tie your shoelace a certain way, then you're never going to make it in this business. And it's stupid. It's deeply stupid. And when you're able to finally like cut through and get mental clarity, and I'm not a health professional, so all I'm really going to say about it is that I noticed that my delusions were like off the charts when I would go to places that were high elevation. And I looked into it, and there is like cranial edema associated delusions at high altitudes. Now, what they said was that if you're experiencing delusions, you could die. I don't know if that's true or not. I did feel not great when I went to Mesa Verde back in October. Like, I did feel like, okay, maybe I could have died, because I was having like heart issues also, and just like was barely able to move. But because I had that experience and that perspective, I looked into some different supplements that I can take to decrease brain inflammation. And obviously in an ideal world, the healthcare system would be such that I'd be able to go get a brain scan. He agrees. He agrees. But that not being the case, for the time being, working on it, I promise. I promise. I have started taking some things that are greatly improving my mental state, my awareness. I know it's just stuff I got at the vitamin shop, but it's based on research. So I'm able to have mental clarity now. I'm not experiencing the delusions. I'm able to sort out like what's going on, insofar as any current gangstalking phenomena might be manifesting, of which the first part of the video may or may not be related to that. I like to just kind of leave it open-ended and not just assume that everything is gang stalking. But when I talk to my friend who's also experiencing gang stalking, we're comparing like the ways that control is being exercised. Because again, like, I use this term gang stalking, but like, honestly, like, the information that's available online about gang stalking, so much of it is based on speculation. Like, it's really hard to know what is happening exactly. There's something going on. Something has been, especially in my friend's case, affecting his life extremely adversely. But I don't take any of that information for granted. I don't take any of it wholesale. The best thing you can do is just document what's going on with yourself, compare it against other people's experiences, and look for ways like taking the things that I'm taking for brain inflammation. There are things you can do to combat whatever gang stalking phenomena you're experiencing. So I've been doing that, and it's been making a big difference, but it's been very difficult for me to find ways to make money, and because my tolerance for workplace bullshit under my current circumstances is very low. It's very hard, like, when you're already just trying to maintain a baseline every day, to go in somewhere where somebody's going to start gaslighting you about equipment or people just get catty and weird for no reason. Like, it makes it really hard to go into any workplace and not just be like, you know what? Actually, I don't need money this bad. You know? I'll figure it out on my own. So, and I don't say that because I want you guys to give me money. I'm saying that just because, like, you know, I think we're all going through a certain amount of this. Some of us may be dealing with it better than others. I have not been dealing with it very well at all. So, you know, if you also are struggling with these things, please know that you're not alone. And I did watch, going back to the first part of the video just briefly, I did watch this video, and I'll put a card up, you know. This is kind of why I wanted to put it later in the video, so you can click on the card. There's that channel, Soft White Underbelly, and it's an interview from like 4 months ago or so, but it's this divorce lawyer named James Sexton, and that shit slaps so hard. That is my album of the year for 2023. It's a really good interview, and it really says a lot about the nature of relationships and marriage. And really smart guy. And I would like to know, down in the comments, what things that you guys would like to see changed in 2024. What are some things from 2023 that either you would like to push them out of your life, or things that maybe you're building from 2023. I'll be optimistic with that. I would like to think that not everybody has been doing as poorly as I have over the past couple of years. And I am incredibly grateful for those of you who have stuck around through my ASMRs, through my occult journey, through my CBT and gangstalking information. I mean, that is really like what the pale threshold is. It's the vanguard. It is the veil. It's what you have to push through to move forward. So that was kind of why I have pivoted the channel over the past year, because there are things that need to be talked about. No one else is going to talk about in the way that I talk about them. There's an intersectionality that needs to be bridged. Okay, and this is going to bring me into my final point. There's an intersectionality that needs to be bridged between rational, logical mind and the occult practices. So there's things like a lot of stuff I do on the channel, like scrying, divination, spell work. These things need to be treated more empirically. There are so many times where I'll start doing a reading for somebody, and a person of the opposite sex, and I will frame it that way because typically when I do readings for people who are LGBTQ, etc., the way that they frame the people in their lives is very different. When I do a reading for a person and someone of the opposite sex comes up, sometimes what happens is they immediately latch onto that person, whether or not they recognize them as a person that's in their life, etc., as a romantic option. And a lot of times it'll be like, if a person comes up in a reading at all, it's like pass fail. Like, are they a romantic option or are they not? Is pursuing them worth it, or is it not worth it? And the fact of the matter is, like, you have a female roommate, you have a mom, you have a sister, maybe, you have female coworkers that you would never ever sleep with. And sometimes information is going to come through in readings about those people. That's the nature of divination. There's been too much of an emphasis, probably since time immemorial. And I think I have talked about this a little bit before, so I'll keep it brief. About love readings. People only want to watch love readings. It is so difficult on YouTube to find readings that are not love readings. And sometimes, some channels I really like, and I have to kind of like, what I call like backseat reading or reading over their shoulder, because the messages that come through are very good, but it's always framed as a romantic situation. And that just is not super relevant to my current existence. And even when I have been in relationships, there are so many times where the reading that you get is not about your current relationship. It's about some situation at work. It's about some thing that has nothing to do with love or romance. And people really need to get a grip on their feelings. I have a technique that works for me, but I'm not going to talk about it here because I don't think anyone else could make this work. And so I don't recommend it because it's a very particular thing that I do mentally to keep myself occupied in that way without it leading to something else and getting into obsession and things like that. Because, you know, people do use love and romance as a means by which to trick their brains into giving them chemicals that they need. And I understand that. I do understand that. And yes, I do the same thing, but I don't have someone living up here rent-free. They're shaking my brain down constantly for those delicious, delicious serotonin and dopamine molecules. So don't worry, they're not living there rent-free. We all need to find better coping mechanisms. I mean, yeah, myself included, I admit that. And we need to reframe things in a way that is not so single-minded, built around obsession, grounded not in reality. All of these things, traditional marriage on its face seems like a very practical concept. But if you watch that soft white underbelly video, it's very untenable. It's an untenable concept. And he phrases it like a way better than I can. I mean, I've been married twice. I would say my first marriage was way closer to a traditional marriage. Whereas like my second marriage, we were both much more, there was a lot more parity. There wasn't as much like gender division, if that makes sense. And we got married because we loved each other and we thought that we would be able to be together forever. You know, like, oh, we have such a great relationship. You know what would make it better? Let's get the government involved. It's not necessary. It really, like, if you have a good, strong relationship, you should be negotiating on a line-by-line basis get a prenup and then never get married. I think that's what I'm gonna do next time, is just negotiate the prenup with that person and then we'll just never get married. And that way, like, when you, because, you know, if you do it the other way around and you get married and you never get a prenup, it makes it so much harder to split things up. Now, I never had that problem because both of my exes and I, we are solid. We are gold now. But I mean, yeah, you should really be able to negotiate a prenup with a person more so than you should be like, if you feel like you can't discuss a prenup with somebody, then you shouldn't get married to them. Alright, please leave me your thoughts down in the comments. This video is probably gonna go up January 2nd. But tell me what date it actually went on below. No, I'm just kidding. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear how you're planning to start the new year and what the pale threshold brings for you. Happy 2024 and